All right, here we go. Three, two, one. Welcome everyone to another episode of the Wall Street Rundown. I'm your host, Billy, and I have my co-host with me, Wale. What up, bro?
Not much, man. How you doing? How you doing?
Man, it's been a good week. So let's do a quick recap of what happened this week. You can see like a lot of indexes kind of like today, at least today, like we saw like we opened up in red, but then the next thing we just start going up. Like it was just, we can talk a little bit about why that happened. But one of the notable things I want to talk about is FedEx. They lowered their full year guidance. Full year guidance. I mean, we understand why, right? Like if you guys been around the market
Correct.
for a while, you know exactly why they might want to do that and be on the more cautious side, right? This due to the inflation and shipments of might be affected because of tariffs and all that crazy stuff.
hmm
Nike also dropped. I know you mentioned that in the group. You're like Nike's almost at the COVID level. They are literally sitting right there. Their profitability have gone down. We talked about this a lot, and also Nike might be affected by the tariffs, right? Because a lot of the manufacturing is overseas, so that's another thing that might be affecting them also. So the one thing that I think we missed out a lot, and we talked about this a lot, is Boeing. Oh my God, I was mad when you told me about that. I was so irritated. I was like, oh God. Like we talked about Boeing for a while now, but Boeing, I think they got a contract with the government today and they just shut up, man. So some great movement going up there. But yeah, man, let's talk about what happened today. Let's talk about all the stuff that led the market to kind of turn from possibly going down to bullish movement and all that stuff. So give me your input on that, bro.
So a couple of things. We saw stocks kind of lose all the momentum that they had after Chairman Powell gave his statements on Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
But then today, President Trump came out and was talking about the tariffs that are going to be implemented on April 2nd. Now, he's
Yep.
not saying he's going to change his mind about tariffs, but he made a comment that turned the market around. He said there will be flexibility. And
Mm-hmm.
the moment he said that, I texted the group. I was like, market is going to start pushing higher because of that comment. And oddly enough, all the major indices pushed higher. I didn't think we would finish in the green, but we definitely finished in the green. So
Yep.
my stance is you got a lot of selling that's been going on. This is the fifth straight week the market has been down. So
Fifth
five
straight
straight
week.
weeks of
Yep.
downward pressure on the market. We haven't seen that since August of last year. And I think before that, we hadn't seen that since 2022.
Yep.
So what I now am looking at are two things. On a technical basis, if you look at the weekly charts of SPY and QQQ, we have now put in a higher high than last week and a higher low than last week, meaning there is a possibility that stocks could push higher. Now, I'm not saying the trend has changed, but at least next week, there's a little bit of optimism as far as the bulls are concerned going into next week.
Mm-hmm.
Also, too, what was I going to say as far as the technical stuff? Oh, yeah, lots of oversold. Like we've been oversold for quite some time. So once you get to an oversold level, you always have to be mindful that we will find buyers.
Right.
They are just, sometimes you have the high frequency, trading machines that will just go out there and just buy oversold stocks.
Yep.
So that could happen. Now, whether or not that becomes sustainable, we don't know. And then lastly, I've been seeing a lot of momentum being sucked out of the VIX.
Mm-hmm.
And the
Because the
VIX is
VIX is
moving,
at
it's
where we
below
at right
20
now.
now, like
It's
19 and some
it's
change.
it's still pretty high, but we definitely we came down from that high of 29. I think we hit 29 back on the 11th of March.
hmm
Yep. So we came down significantly. Yep.
Yeah. So what I'll be looking at with the VIX, and I think you mentioned this on our last discussion, is we're starting to see downward momentum. Maybe we get back to that fair value gap that you talked about on the daily chart. Couple, I
Yep.
think it was on Wednesday.
Yep. That 17-16 area. Yep.
Yeah. So if we start to trade there, then you need to start looking at, okay, does price hold at that level, or does price deteriorate at from that level?
Right.
So I would not be surprised if we get a bullish week next week. Like I would not be surprised at all.
Yeah. I think it's long awaited, right? So we've been having some really sell off, and most of the stocks they're all like trading either below 200 EMA or right above it, like not too far
Hmm.
above it. You know what I mean? So we're definitely in that territory now where we're gonna start seeing some money maybe flowing back into the market. And this today was the quad witching, so a lot of volatility got sucked out of the market today also.
Hmm.
So heading into next week, the end of the first quarter. I mean, I was hoping that we would get that freaking tariffs in the first week or first month. And heading into second quarter, we can kind of see the result of that tariff. But now we're not heading there. But let me ask you this though, like, do you think I still have my doubts that the April 2nd date is gonna hold? I still have my doubt because so far every dates that have been set up kind of like got pushed forward, right? So it's like I don't think it's gonna hold. I think something's gonna come out that's we're gonna renegotiate the percentage. We're gonna renegotiate all these different things. We're gonna get on the table, get on the phone, and
I think I might have lost you.
we might end up with like 2 to 3% tariffs. You lost me. You
Did I
back?
lose you? Yeah, I'm back down. I'm back now. Sorry
Okay.
about that.
You're
Yeah.
good. You're good. You're good. So we might end up with like maybe like two to three
Yeah, it says
percent, or maybe
internet
even
is unstable.
5%, maybe even 5% tariffs and stuff. So I don't think we're gonna end up with a lot. So Wale, is me having issues or that's you having issues? Let me see. I think Wale is having issues, but oh, there you
Yeah,
go.
I think I'm having issues. Give me I think I'm good, but I might have to switch networks real quick. So
Okay, no worries.
if I take a pause, don't mind me.
All good, all good. But we've seen a lot of like increased concern about the potential recession. And I'm kind of shocked that they're actually talking a lot more about it now. Like I think like the first few months of the year, like a lot of people don't want to talk about recessions and stuff, but I feel like now a lot of like economics, like Goldman Sachs came out and said there's about 20% likelihood that we get recession within the next year. So I mean, I'm always skeptical when the big banks and the big economics come out and start talking and being vocal about the market. I'm usually very skeptical of that. You know what I mean? Because
And if we're honest, they've been wrong most of the time.
yes, yes, they've been wrong. But it's like for me, it's like, when you guys start coming out and going to Wall Street Journal or going to MSNBC or Market Watch or whatever it is, y'all start being vocal about these things. For me, it's like, yeah, I think it's time to buy.
Yeah. I
In
mean,
my
if we
opinion, at least.
yeah, if we're not, I mean, I've kept receipts, and a lot of these big um, money managers and asset managers, as far as the market is concerned and recession, have been wrong. There's a guy at
Right.
Morgan Stanley that's been wrong for like the last 2 years
And still got a job.
and still got a job. Remember back in a couple, I don't know if it was last year, no, end of 2023, going in 2024, and they're talking about 6 to 8 rate cuts.
Yep.
And I
I think
remember back in
we
like,
dropped to what, like two, three? I think how many
yeah, it
did we
was like
get?
we only
Yeah.
had three rate cuts.
That's crazy, man.
So and I remember back in I think like 2022, 23, everybody was like, "Oh, we're headed to recession. We're headed to recession." So all of those headlines I would take with a grain of salt.
Yeah.
Again, the things that I look at don't signal recession at the moment. Like they just don't right now.
Yeah.
Another thing that again the market knows is if it gets too bad, the Fed said they will step in. The
Mm-hmm.
question is, we don't know what that threshold is. We don't know what that limit. How far will the Fed let things go before they step in? That's what no one knows. But they have said that they will step in. So
Yep.
to me, are we in a slowdown? Absolutely. Absolutely. We are in a economic slowdown, which is normal during market cycles, especially when you had 2 years of 20% gains in the S&P. Like 2023 and 2024 were really good years. Now things are slowing down and being repriced. So since we don't know what tariffs are going to do with inflation,
Mm-hmm.
that uncertainty is what's driving the market up and down. That's part of the story. And then
Yep.
also the slowdown. So until we get a clear idea of what effect they will have on pricing and the consumer and all that stuff, we just don't know.
Yep. Yep.
We
Yep.
just don't know. So, but I will say a lot of the big banks and asset managers, y'all have been wrong, 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 and wrong.
Absolutely. I mean, like that's why it's like when they start being vocal, man, I was like, yeah,
Hmm.
it's time to buy it. The other thing that I always see is like when I start seeing headline, market is crashing, market is crashing. Yeah, that's when I was like, yep, it's time to run to the market. You know what I mean? Start to get those long term ones because it's like when you start seeing those headlines, it's just starting to spread fear and all that stuff, right?
Hmm. Yep.
So but while the market is getting ready to drop, you don't hear anybody talk about it. You don't hear anybody say like, oh, we see this person selling, you see this person selling, what's going on? You know what I mean? It doesn't happen until after the market drops, and
Oh,
then
it's always does.
yeah, and then
Yeah,
the
always after the
reaction really
fact.
comes in. Yeah, exactly. And it's like it's just it's frustrating because a lot of people get you get stuck in these swings like up down, you know what I mean? So the other thing that I found interesting is the European Union actually postponed their tariffs against the US, the retaliatory territory tariff. I
Okay.
was like, wait a minute. Like, so in my opinion, I go back to what you said. Tariffs was being used as a means to bring people to the
Negotiate.
table.
Hmm.
Let's talk about this before we go, Chris, because it's not tariffs is not good for me. It's not good for you. But let's have a conversation and meet somewhere in the middle, right? And trying to figure this out. So that thing might be working.
I mean, if you look at Trump's mantra, his his idea of a negotiation tactic is to be a bully. That's
Yep.
how he functions. I mean, look at Columbia University. He pulled federal funding, and now they're like, okay, we're going to do what you want us to
What you
do.
want us to do? Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
So he uses it as a bully tactic, and I think a lot of people are saying that okay, whatever tariffs get implemented or whatever happens with the tariff story, it's going to be temporary, which could be true. We don't know. You know, I don't like going about it that way. I would
Mhm.
say, let's talk first, give you a deadline, and say if we don't arrange something by this deadline, then maybe you start doing tariffs. But
Nope, he doesn't do it
I
that way.
and I will say this from a revenue standpoint, when you're trying to what's the word? Close the deficit, right? When you're trying to close the deficit, you have to understand that the United States only collects revenue through taxes.
Hmm.
That is their main revenue source. So, if you plan on cutting taxes, where are you going to get an additional source of revenue?
Right.
That's what he's also using tariffs for, because it's a tax on other countries. It brings revenue into the United States,
From
obviously
outside, yeah.
from outside the United States. Now,
Yep.
as consumers, we have to, kind of eat that burden because
Hmm.
I don't think any of these companies are going to be like, okay, we'll eat the tariffs and it's going to cut into
Right.
our margins. Heck
Right.
no.
Right.
So, from a revenue standpoint, the United States is saying we need to generate more revenue. And you got two things you can do. You can raise taxes on people in the US or you can use tariffs.
Right.
There's really no other way.
But
Or
my
you can
th- my
you
my
can
thing is
you
this.
can print money.
But my thing is this: if you're gonna do tariffs on products coming from outside the U.S., you should also have some type of law, some type of regulation to say, hey, companies, you cannot increase prices on consumers, right? Just because we implemented tariffs. Like you have
Yeah,
to figure out a way. You know what I mean? Like, so if you really care about the consumers, then you should put a rule in place that says that too. Like, we're gonna have tariffs, but as companies operating within the United States, your prices should not adjust just because we put tariffs on,
yeah, I don't think
right?
you can. I don't know if that. I don't think you can do that.
But
I don't
that's what I
think.
mean. Like, so,
Yeah, I don't think you can do that.
so at the end of the day, consumers suffer, right? Because, like, as you say, companies are not going to eat that. They're like, nah, man, they're going
The
to pay
only
for it.
the only companies that may not have to worry about it too much are private companies. So
Mhm.
private companies that don't trade on exchanges that have to report their earnings and all that stuff. So
Yeah.
maybe they eat the bullet and just say, you know what, we don't want to lose customers. We'll eat those margins. But public companies, I just don't. I could never see them saying,
Yeah.
all right, man, we gonna bite the bullet on this, and then
No, the
not
investors would not be happy.
so
The investors won't be happy if they do that. Like,
no,
because,
they
yeah.
they won't be no. So yeah, and it's crazy too. Like you talk to some of these public companies, man. I'm telling you, I had a conversation with a public company yesterday. I'm telling you, man, you talk about dedication to shareholders.
Hmm. Yep.
Shareholders are priority number one.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Their main job is to make their shareholders happy and to make money for their shareholders. So they will do
Mm-hmm.
whatever they can
Mm-hmm.
because they know when they go to that meetings and shareholders start saying, "Okay, we need to shake things around." Guess what? People are going to be losing jobs because you're not bringing any. Your profits not going up. Your nothing's going up. We're trying to make money. So
Yeah,
yeah,
I used to sit in. I remember I used to work for a public company, investment company, and in our team meetings, man, they always used to remind us, yeah, number one duty, it's not our customers,
yeah,
it's
the
shareholders.
shareholders. Facts, facts. I used to work for a company that it ended up going public.
Hmm.
Man, I'm telling you, the goals for the sales teams have changed. The goals for people who implement project have changed. The amount of pressure that you feel is different. How
Yeah.
fast they want you guys to churn and get this project done. It's like it goes up like 100%. You know what I mean? Because it's
Ex
like now it's like, hey, you used to be able to do 5 projects a month. Now, guess what? You're gonna do 15. Like, oh, sales, you were closing 10 deals a year. Guess what? They gotta close 20 deals a year. You know what I mean? It's like they put a lot of pressure because you gotta prove to your shareholders that the money they're putting into the company is worth it. Like the investment is worth it, basically. So
Yeah, especially when the CEO's biggest piece of compensation comes from
that's yeah.
equity.
He
But
has
speaking of equity, man, Nike, talk to me, man. Talk to me about Nike.
bro, I'm telling you, Nike is in. I think they're in a good place now, right? I think
Okay.
they're. I honestly think they're going to turn the corner. I think they're starting to understand that they lost a lot of market share and they need to figure something out, right? Um, in terms of like the operation itself, I think they need to pull some stuff back in. Like they need to refocus because, like I was saying, like they lost a lot of market share to like companies like OnCloud, Hookah, what is the other one? They lost a lot of market share because they decided that they're just gonna go crazy on one. They wanted to go like subscription thing, right? So they did a lot of like they invested a lot in their like the Apple Fitness app and trying to get people to subscribe and all that stuff. That didn't work out. It was like you guys were looking at 1 year of people being indoors and you guys thought like that was gonna be like the future of the next 20 years. Like COVID was great, right? Because they probably saw a lot of people downloading Apple and doing all the subscription and stuff. Like, oh shoot, that's the way to go.
Man,
Nah,
the list of companies that got COVID wrong,
crazy
Peloton,
man. Peloton, another one, right? So it's like
Zoom.
Zoom. Zoom was trading way higher than a lot of companies that you're like, wait, why is Zoom at like I forgot how far they won like during COVID. They were up there. You know what I mean? And you're like, wait, your valuation does not even make sense. Like, why are you guys trading at this high prices, right?
That was Zoom was a $588 stock.
Yeah, but at the same time, you look at Apple. Apple wasn't even like at that price during that time. So it's like, wait, you trying to tell me Zoom is worth more than Apple? Like, are you kidding me? In terms of
Yeah,
like price shares and stuff? Yeah,
yeah.
that's ridiculous.
Zoom was 588. That stock is sitting at 75.
Yep.
And
They
some
went lower than that too. They just recovering this year, but they
Oh
went
yeah,
lower
they
than
went
that.
to the low was 55.
Yep.
Yeah.
But I think Nike needs to regroup. I think they still hold a big share of the company. And I don't know if you noticed that, man. They are trying to did you see the Super Bowl ad with all the women?
Oh yeah, I saw that.
I thought that was a great, brilliant move. It was like, listen, the women's sport are picking up, especially basketball,
Hmm.
track, and all that stuff. It's like, yes, that's whoever came up with that marketing is brilliant. I was like, okay, yes, let's start investing more into that area also. So trying to figure out if you can get more consumers from the women perspective and stuff. But I think they're gonna figure it out. Um, the tariffs gonna affect them long term. Short term is gonna get affected. Their profits is definitely down because yeah, some of the consumers just left. Like I don't know, man.
And the thing with Nike to me is right now, all they got in my mind is brand equity. That's it. It's the brand,
Yeah, yeah,
the brand.
yeah,
Now, at 60, it got to 65 today.
yep,
I might not, I was thinking about nibbling today and buying some Nike today
yeah,
because
yeah.
under 70 is a kind of an attractive price. But if you're a buyer at this level, you have to understand that Nike's problem is not
It's
just
not over yet.
domestic, it's
Yeah.
it's global. So you're gonna
Mm-hmm.
have to wait this bad boy out because I think we said the same thing about Intel. Luckily for us, Intel has kind of started moving pretty
Yeah.
quickly. But
Yeah,
Nike's turnaround story is going to take a long
it's gonna take a
time.
while. It's gonna take a
Going to
while.
take a long time because you have to understand. I think from a global standpoint, I want to say, man, they've especially China, they've got a lot of hurdles to climb.
Yep.
They got a lot of hurdles to climb. So we'll see if the new CEO, can figure it out. But if Nike, trades at 65, 68 for a couple days, I might have to start nibbling little by
Yep.
little and hold this for, a couple of years. So we'll see,
Yeah.
we'll see. But yeah, that'll be that'll be an interesting turnaround story because I want to know what are they going to pivot to? What's going to be their next growth driver? Because
Yeah.
I don't think it's men's sports.
No, it's
I don't
definitely
think
not
it's
men's
men's
sport.
sports.
No.
I don't think it's giving all of these NBA players signature shoes.
Yeah. They
Like
need they
to
need
me,
to they need to pivot to women's sport, honestly.
and
Like
they need to like some of these like signature shoes that they have, like
just cut it out.
you got to just cut some of those deals and just like,
Yeah.
we're done. Like this is
Yeah.
not working. It's not working.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So
Either
shed
that
some of
or
the fat.
start buying some of those companies. Maybe do collaboration with OnCloud. OnCloud is not a public company yet. It's still a private
Mm,
company. Maybe do a collaboration or do an offering where you guys can buy them out. You know what I mean? They are a fast growing company that does a lot more than just sport. They do, running, hiking, all of those different things, casual walking, all that stuff. So maybe do a deal with them and see if you can buy them out and get their customers. But that those probably your customers coming back to you.
yeah. And I didn't know that Hoka was earned by Deckers.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah. So Hoka's so one of my
See?
boys who actually used to work for Nike went over to Deckers. And I saw that he's working with Hoka and then Uggs.
Yeah, yeah.
He's working with the Uggs brand. So I was like, oh dang, I didn't know Hoka. I thought Hoka was a private company like OnCloud.
Hmm. But yeah,
So
they might need to hurry up and get on cloud on their side, and buy them out and be like, hey, we have the money, we have the resources, we can expand your business a lot faster. Um, but the thing that I think that's gonna help them out, that's gonna help Nike also is the whole China thing, right? So I was reading today that Senator Steve Daines, I think, he actually was in Beijing, talking about U.S. China relationship when it comes to businesses and stuff, while we having tariffs against China. So for me, it's like, oh, so we still engage in the talk with China anyway. So
mhm.
that's one of the things that I was like, man, I honestly think this whole China tariffs thing, I think is going to be a lot smaller than what we think it's going to be. It's going to be way, 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 way smaller. So I think that's going to help a lot of those other companies that like Nike, Starbucks, and all that stuff to be able to, start moving back up again. So, but when that news comes, I'll guarantee you that the market probably going to be running again. So just keep an eye on that one.
Yeah, I'm trying to see if OnCloud is a private company. Doing some research. No, it says On Running, officially known as On Holding AG, is a publicly traded company.
No way.
Oh, they're publicly traded.
I did not know that. What's the company that owns them?
The symbol is ONON.
Oh wow! All this time I did not know they were a public company.
Yeah, ONON.
Yeah, on holding. That's their logo too, on cloud logo. Oh wow. Now this is a company that I would say long term, you might want to start looking at this and start investing in this one.
Yeah, because
Because
they were trading at $29 last year around
mm-hmm,
May, shot to 64, and now they've been a victim of the sell-off like everybody else.
right.
So, oh yeah, I didn't know
Yeah.
that.
Me
Huh.
neither, man. I honestly did not know they were public already. But again, this is a company that took over a lot of Nike's customers, like a lot of people. Like I have more pair of OnCloud than I have Nikes. That's
Oh
how
wow.
crazy it is. You know what I mean? I have like 4 pairs of OnClouds. And price wise, they're a lot more expensive than Nikes. Like I'm talking about like their lowest probably like $120.
Mm,
You know what I mean? Like it's and the shoe is comfortable. Like when you get them, this is a shameless plug, but when you get them, you're not gonna want to go back. You're not gonna want to go back. You're gonna be like, this is it right here. But yeah. Um, Speaking of China, like, what do you think about um Did Tesla move to? I think Tesla moved up today by 5.3%. And now we talked a little bit about it. Tesla versus the Chinese market and all that stuff. What did you think about this move today from Tesla?
I think Tesla's move today was just nothing more than like an oversold rally because I think Elon came out and told shareholders like, yeah, don't sell your stocks. I told employees don't sell your stock.
Mm.
Um, but I will say I did see something today, and I saw that the 250 calls on Tesla, I don't know the expiration, but they were very active today.
250?
Very, very active. I don't know the strike. Let me see if I can find it. But there was a lot of buying for the 250 calls on Tesla. Um, and there has been, yeah, investors and individual investors have been net buyers of Tesla shares for the last 13 sessions,
Sheesh.
pumping $8 billion into the stock.
Into
So,
Tesla.
so even though the stock has been dropping, um, people have been buying the dip.
The dip buyers were in.
Yeah,
Interesting.
the 417 250 calls, very active today. A lot of buying above the asked price.
I mean, the way you close now, I can see it. Like we have that bearish fair value gap at on the daily from this level 253 all the way up to 259.
Hmm.
There's a bearish value gap over there, so it might just go up there and hit that level there because that's around 250.
Yeah, it might. Also, too, if you go look at how the close on the week, you see a bullish inside hammer on the week.
Mm-hmm. That's nice.
Yeah, there's a bullish inside hammer on the week. So maybe next month, if we'll start a new month in a couple weeks. Maybe this is it starts to turn around. So I'll be watching because I've been looking to add to my Tesla leaps. I have not yet, but
Yep.
um
Again, them being like below 200 EMA, man, like I'm telling you, like a lot of those companies, y'all, like, man,
yeah,
this remind
anything.
me, this remind me back of like 2020 when everything was just below 200 EMA. And just like,
Hmm.
people just went shopping. You know what I mean? Like that's
Yeah,
a good area to be if you want to start deploying some money and stuff.
yeah. Yeah, I will say that and this is why I keep stressing this, any stock that's trading below its 200 EMA, I would be a buyer of a good company
Yep.
at those levels. But at the same time, you also have to know that at those levels, the what's the word? Any bullish move can fade.
Get fade. Yep. Yep.
So the way I would probably do it is at these levels, I would buy the stock.
Mhm.
I would not buy the options yet.
Yep. Yep.
Once we get
Exactly.
a breakout above the 200 and you see it sustain above it, then I would go with the leaps.
Yep. Yep.
That's pretty much because with leaps, because there's decay, you want to be able to buy a move that you can stay in long term and that's sustainable.
Yep.
So um yeah, I don't think I mean Tesla's got a lot of bad press, a lot of bad headlines. But if you ask me about this stock in the next like 2 or 3 years, I would be a net buyer, to be honest with you.
Yeah. They'll be okay.
I would not be a seller of Tesla.
They'll be okay. That's why I say if people can separate like the politics from the company itself, I think they'd be all right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
So even though there's some low price targets out there, like under 200,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I
So
mean, all we need is one more drop. We're probably gonna hit that, but at the same time, it's like from this point right now, I don't know, man. I feel like a lot of buyers are stepping in right now.
yeah. So we'll see how the story plays out. But from a, I mean, and again, when a stock has been beat up this much over the last couple of days, I mean, you're talking about a 50% drop this year already, almost. You will find buyers at some point. So
Right, right.
we'll just need to see if you see more strong buying. But from what I have been seeing, the data is showing that there have been some pretty good flows, at least net positive flows on Tesla. So,
The comeback continues, man. The comeback continues.
and speaking of comebacks, Boeing is on one heck of a comeback.
Man,
Weren't we
bruh,
talking about that stock around 135?
bruh. Like, and we missed it when it dropped to 145 on March
Exactly.
11th.
Yep.
That's
Missed it. Missed it.
uh yeah. We
Because
talked
if you
we talked about this way back last year
last
around,
year,
yeah, around October, November. It was like a 136, 135. And we talked about we gave it a really good uh case. We built a really good case for it. I mean, it was a beautiful case. And it happened right in front of our eyes. Like
fell asleep at the wheel, got a second opportunity to jump in,
and still fell asleep.
and still fell asleep. Because if you look at where it bounced this most recent move, that fair value gap
Yep.
from 1122
Yep. During the
retested
election.
it,
Yep.
retested it, and then so Boeing just got this contract to build these fighter jets. It's a big contract, and I think they beat out Lockheed Martin for the
Mm-hmm.
contract. And yeah, we fell asleep at the wheel on that,
Yeah.
and it took off.
Took off
And
like crazy.
it's crazy though. The last couple days, it's actually been pushing higher.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's one of the stocks out there that has actually been pushing higher over the last couple of days.
Yep. And it closed above its 200 EMA.
Okay.
Yesterday, the setup was nice. When I looked at it, I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Like that's why you don't take stocks that you like off of your list. Because look at that. Inside candle on yesterday. Beautiful inside candle. And look at that.
Right at the 200 EMA. Right at it.
Uh, man.
Yeah. That's a big missed opportunity. Big
Yes.
missed opportunity.
It sure is. But we'll see, man. It might hit that 180, 188 area, and we got a rejection over there too. So we'll see.
Yeah.
Maybe we go over there and just get rejected. But yeah, that was definitely a missed opportunity that I would say that we both missed on that one, which is
Yeah, I got to put it
sucks.
back on my list because, like I said, Boeing is. I put Boeing in the same category as Intel. Like
Yep.
they not going out of business.
Yep. Yep. Well, let's talk about Intel, man. Intel be doing some. It was, it's been moving up. I've been seeing my position move up, and I was like, what is happening? But we actually have seen a couple of gap up. So from Wednesday, March 12th, you see that gap up there. That we closed above the 200, but we dropped below it on the 19th, and now we did a 3 on the daily, going back up again. So it looks like we're kind of running against that fair value gap from that drop back on the 18th on
hmm
Tuesday.
hmm
So we're running against that fair value. We worked through it a little bit, but we still got a ways to cover up. But
Also, too, I'll say that we still have not broken through the fair value gap from the earnings drop in August.
right, that's still there, and
It's
we
still
yep
there.
yep
So the level I'm looking at, if the level I'm looking at for a potential breakout is 2735.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
If Intel can break above 2735, I think that will be a pretty good catalyst to at least get to 30.
Yep
We've got an inside potential hammer that could close on the month.
yep
So we got an inside candle. We could close as a hammer on the month, possibly. And if we break above 2730, I will like the I might I might start to add leaps to Intel if we're able to do that. Maybe a small position of leaps
yep
because I don't know how this whole tariffs can 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 destroy that trade pretty easily. Might use
yep
a calendar spread
mm,
just to buy time. So basically, what a calendar spread is, you buy a long dated call, right? Then you start selling a shorter dated call against it,
right
just in case there's a lot of volatility and a lot of decay. So might go out to like 2027, maybe buy like a 35 2027 call, and then sell like a 30 call that expires in like August against it.
yep.
Something along those lines. So
You get to
I might
collect, yeah,
get to collect the premium on that. So I
yep.
might take a look at doing something like that. If we get above 2730 and we start to see that level start to hold.
Mm. And now they do have earnings coming up in April.
Mm,
So I won't be surprised if we push higher going into earnings. And
hmm.
then yeah, I won't be surprised if we start pushing higher going to earnings, because usually those stocks, that's what they do, is push a little higher going to earnings. People are buying them. But yeah, they have earnings coming up. So that might
Not.
be another catalyst.
I see earnings. Yeah, I think I see May 1st as the
I'm
potential date
sorry,
for
May
earnings.
1st. Yes,
Yeah, May
yes.
1st, May 1st. Yeah. So we'll see. But I really think, to be honest with you, one of the things that they're doing, I think that they're still trying to shop parts of their business to other companies.
Mm-hmm.
And I still also think that they're trying to form the right partnerships with some of the bigger players in the chip sector to see, hey, do you guys want part of this business?
Right.
So if they're able to shed more of the fat, because we've seen them start that process, um, I think it'll be a good turnaround story. I don't know if they're going to overtake, you know, and be one of the. I'll actually say this. I might actually throw it. I would not be surprised if TSM is bidding on one of their businesses. I would not be surprised.
Yeah.
I would not be surprised.
Which will make sense, right? Because it's like you already have somebody who knows the supply and all the stuff in the US. So why not?
I would
Why
not
not?
surprise if there's some sort of synergy between those two that they're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And we did see politicians buying Intel stock.
Yep. Yep.
We saw some buys, so I like it. I like where it's headed. I know it got beat up going into this week. I'm glad I held my position. I'm still up about 28%, so I'm happy where I'm at. But
Yeah. Yep.
um, I think Intel will be one good turnaround story if you look back at this stock in the next 2 or 3 years. So, granted, there's no big macroeconomic disaster that kind of unfolds before then.
I mean, they already have enough disaster. Like, I don't know, man. If any disaster happens to them right now, they might just go back to $10. So I don't know. I think they have endured a lot of the worst already. Honestly, I think they're probably gonna stay at this level until something good happens or something bad happens. But
Yeah, because the two catalysts that we got was we had the catalyst where they sold some of their business to this one private company.
yep,
We got our new CEO in place.
yep,
Now, again, we just need to figure out, okay, what is the vision? What else are they going to sell from their business units? And can they start to formulate the right partnerships to turn the whole ship around? So,
yep, yep.
because if you look at the PC market, they still, there's still good
It's still
business
pretty
there.
decent. Yep.
Yeah, still got good business there. It's just a matter of can they continue to grow that business.
Mhm.
So, but yeah, you know, I'm I want us to retest that high near 2730 from
Yes.
that last big move we saw not too long ago. So
That's why I said they should announce the CEO when they were at 27, because that would have been a good move,
that'll get a
man.
good move. Yeah.
But speaking of that, but next week, man, we don't have a lot of stuff on the calendar. I don't know if you see anything coming up next week that's worthy.
PCE.
PCE is coming up next week.
Yep.
Um, but I don't see too many calendar event coming up next week, honestly.
Yeah. PCE is the only big ticket item I would put out there. And I think the last GDP reading of the year or for the fourth quarter of 2024 comes out because I think there's like um the first read and then the second read, then like the third read. I think the third read is like the one and final read, and I think that comes out.
Mm,
That'll come out on the
whoa.
I want to say
Why
the
is
28th.
yeah.
Yeah,
What
I think the
the GDP?
first quarter GDP. Yeah, the third read for first quarter GDP. So
Why man, PCE is coming on a Friday. Interesting. Okay. Friday, March 29th.
okay,
That's
yeah.
interesting. Okay.
So that's the
But
only that's the only big ticket item that I have on my calendar.
yeah, I don't see anything else in here. But yeah, I don't know, man. That's all I had to cover, bro. Like, I don't know if you have anything else you wanted to cover. If not, any advice going into next week? Just what to watch out for. I mean, it's the end. It's end of the quarter, end of the month.
Yeah.
So
I'll say this. I will say I would not be surprised if we get bullish momentum into next week. Granted, what Trump said about tariff flexibility.
mhm,
So whatever he has coming on the second doesn't sound like it's going to be set in stone.
that's what I'm saying.
So I think going into the second, I would not be surprised if we see some sort of relief rally. Whether that relief
Yes.
rally continues or not, we'll have to wait and see what happens after the second.
Yep.
That's the way I see it. I think if I were to pick a side, right, for next week, if I was just picking a side randomly, I would say bullish. I would say
Hmm.
bullish. Again, on a technical basis, on the weekly, QQQ, SPY, higher high, higher low than last week. That's the start of a good base, but I wouldn't say that the trend has completely turned around.
Right.
So we'll see if the buying continues. But the market liked what it heard. So we'll see. If I'm looking for anything going into next week, I'd probably be looking to be bullish
Yep.
next
Yep.
week. So
But mark my words too. That April 2nd tariff thing. Don't be surprised if it get pushed again. I would not be surprised if
if he
they're like,
changes his mind
it changes his mind. We
for
need to
the
renegotiate,
the millionth
or
time,
yep, or maybe like it gets lower instead of I forgot what it was, like 25%. Was it 25%?
I've lost track.
Me too, man. I was like, I can't even keep up anymore. But whatever that percentage is, I will not be surprised if they lower it down. So that way, they're like, hey, we came to the negotiation table, we're gonna lower it down. But I would not be surprised if we get some type of news that said, like, actually, you know what? We're still gonna talk some more. Let's push it by another month. I would not be surprised.
Yeah, from a technical standpoint, just looking at technicals again, headline news trumps technical. So,
Yes.
just throw this out the window. We could be setting up for a decent April. That's just my take.
Hmm.
That's just
Hmm.
my take. So, if you got your tax refund, you might want to start buying some stocks.
Bro, some people got that thing on January. They already used it, man. It's already
Man,
gone.
I don't file until after April.
Um, that's the thing, man. Like I feel like when you know you're gonna be owing money, like I try to
you know,
push that thing. Like
you don't
I'm
you
not in
don't
a hurry.
you don't rush to pay the government back their money.
Hell no.
All I do is by the end of March, I have all my documents ready, and then I don't start filing until after
Yep,
April 1st.
man. Because yeah, you don't want to pay them, man. Like forget that. I don't.
Yeah, especially as a
Yeah.
trader, because as a trader, you're responsible for your own taxes and all those short-term capital gains.
Uh, that's the side of trading nobody talks about.
That's the side of trading nobody talks about. Short-term capital gains can be a pain in the
Oh
you
my
know
god.
what.
Oh my god. Yeah, don't let me get started. Like the first time I actually made a decent amount of money in 2020, and the tax bill that I got, I was like, why? Nobody, you wasn't sitting here next to me making these trades like this. I didn't use nobody's streets. I didn't drive in nobody's streets to do this. Like, why are you taking my money? I was pissed, bro. Like I was mad. My tax person was like, Billy, you yelling at the wrong person. I'm just doing my job. I'm like, hell no, man. That's a lot of money, yo. Like, that's a lot of money. But
Yeah, so
it is what
always
it
remember
is.
when you see people posting their gains from always know that at least to be safe, set aside 50% of that.
I'm talking about like 60%. Like,
Yeah. Always set
because
aside 50. Always set aside 50 gross. Set aside 50. You're
yeah,
probably safe at 40. You're probably safe at 40 because
yeah,
40 is the highest
but
marginal tax bracket, right?
just to
But
be on the safe side.
just to be on the safe side.
Hmm.
So, because yeah. And 40 is just federal. If you live in
Hmm.
California, you got to pay state.
Yeah, yeah.
So
But yeah, man, we can talk about that. We can make a whole book about that. But in any case, y'all have a good weekend. Like I say, wait for next week. Let's see what things goes. I think we are setting up for a good momentum going into April. So yeah, just
let me
keep your eyes on your ports.
let me drop one name that I might like going into next week. Give me one quick second. Uh Moderna on my list. I don't know if I can trust it just yet, but Moderna popped up on my list late today, but I'll be looking at that.
Mm.
Um, I don't know if I can trust it wholeheartedly though, but I will be looking at Moderna. Another one, another stock that, ooh, Ulta also kind of looks kind of good. Yeah, I'll be looking at a few of these names. Ulta and Moderna on my list for next week. So those are two names that I'll definitely be keeping an eye on next week.
Going to
So
next
we'll,
week. Okay.
yeah. hmm Oh, actually, there's another one. I might save this last one. If you're not in the group, you're just gonna have to just gonna miss this one. But yeah, that's it for me.
All right, y'all. Have a good weekend. Stay safe, and we'll talk to you guys on Wednesday.
Wednesday. Take
All
care.
right. Peace.